Guys, this is James from TeaDB bringing you InBetweenIsode number 104. So today we are bringing on another tea from Varat. I brought his Fujuan on to the show just a couple episodes ago. This is another sample that he sent me a long time ago. So sorry, Varat, sorry for the delay. I've enjoyed these teas actually a good deal. So for those of you that didn't tune into the previous episode, Varat, who has a blog, the guide to Pu'erh.blogspot.com, sent me a bunch of samples of a lot of older teas that he's acquired throughout his tea journey. So I appreciate that a lot, and they've all been interesting learning experiences. And so today's sample was very much right up my alley. It is some mature Pu'erh. You can see I have the binghole complete with Neife here. And traditional storage is a type of storage. Varat said he got these teas from Hong Kong, where it's a sort of storage that's very associated with Hong Kong, and it's where they store it very humid and really humid conditions, basement-like, in Hong Kong, which is a port city, for some amount of time, and then they will store it in a much drier place, presumably still in Hong Kong, for some amount of time afterwards. And as it's called traditional storage, it's a way that teas have gone through storage, and a lot of teas, just about all teas, all Pu'erhs, raw Pu'erhs especially, went through this sort of storage from the 50s all the way up into the 80s or the 90s, and so it's a sort of storage method that's gone a little bit out of fashion, but it can result in some really tasty tea fairly quickly, with a different sort of character than we get out of like young Pu'erh or dry aged Pu'erh. So you can see the binghole, even though it's like the most compressed part of the cake, is already really dark, or it is very dark. So I'd imagine that the whole cake, and this is backed up by pictures on Varat's blog, is just very, very dark, brownish black, I would say. These teas often do take a little bit of time to get going. These are older teas, so if the first couple infusions are not to your tasting, you can toss those out as rinses. So I've already had, I've rinsed it once. I've drank the first and the second infusion. Here is steep number 3 right in front of me. Oh, and the tea, sorry guys, is the 1990s commission Munghai orange label. So Varat also has a post on this tea on his site, so go ahead and check that out if you want some more background information. But we're going to get into the tea now. Cheers. So this is exactly the sort of thing that you like out of traditional storage teas. It's big, meaning it's viscous, it's oily, it's soft, it's smooth, it's really, really warm. I'm drinking this, I'm looking at my temperature here, and it's 78 degrees inside, so I am going to get very warm from drinking this tea, which is actually pretty okay with me. Cheers, guys. Maybe a slight citric to it. It's definitely creamy. I do get a little bit of that, some people call it talc, some people call it granny powder. Get some of that mixed in with the creamier notes. Very smooth. Let's see how the depth is. So it's mainly fairly up front, and then it sort of extends to the back of the mouth. I would say that overall this tea, for instance, is a much better tea than the Bajang that I brought on for episode number 100 that I finished off a cake of. And you're going to want to hit these teas fairly hard. These are robust teas. These are not teas that you want to be brewing at 190 or even 200 degrees. You want to be hitting these traditionally stored teas with really hot water, kind of like you would for ripe Pu'erh and things like that. The leaves have just started to really open up. Because we're working with binghole, we're getting a slightly more mulch in the session, which is fine. This tea, unlike if you were to get like a lot of mulch for a really, like a 2016 Pu'erh for instance, would be rewarded with a really bitter brew. Here we just have to adjust slightly for the strength. These tend to be a little bit, or quite a bit more robust brewers than, and less finicky than younger tea. So, this is infusion number 5 that we're doing right here. Clay would also be a very appropriate way to go. So you could see from the color here that we are getting almost a black, a really dark shade of red here. Take a smell of the leaves. The leaves themselves, despite being the most compressed part of the cake, there's very little green left in them. Maybe if you really push for it, you have lighter shades of brown in there. And an important distinguishing note is that if this were ripe, the leaves would be entirely black. Sometimes one of the popular things to do back in the 90s and the 80s was mixing up Sheng and Shu into a cake. And one way to tell is just by dumping out the leaves at the end, and the fully cooked leaves would be black unless the tea was stored extremely humid, which would turn the Sheng leaves black, but usually those will be a little bit lighter. Alright, so here's steep number 4. Cheers, guys. Creamier, richer. It has a nice, really nice consistency all the way into sort of like the back of the mouth, and then it goes away. I don't get a lot of throatiness that I would for some more, I don't know, I guess it depends on the tea, maybe Iwu teas or something like that. So for me, this tea is, it's not a complicated tea, but this is definitely a tea, or a sort of tea, that I could drink nearly daily. And it's very consistent, brew in, brew out, and this tea will definitely go on for quite a while, so I'll probably be brewing this for 14 or 15 infusions. Cheers, guys. So big, soft, smooth, oily. The leaves in general, it's hard to tell what sorts of leaves were in this cake, but from what we're looking at, they look to be small. So some sort of small leaf blend of material here. And just even like taking a smell of this cake reminds me of going tea shopping in Pu'erh shops in Hong Kong. So just like, and for me that evokes a lot of pleasant memories as opposed to more negative ones. So I'm someone that's generally pretty okay with the more humid teas, and for me they're definitely teas that I could drink fairly normally. I do not know what this tea would cost at this present point, but it's been a very tasty treat, so thank you, Varat, and thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what sorts of content you would like to see in the future, and cheers, guys.